Anyway, welcome to day 2 of the Infinite Conscience Conference. First of all, we actually thought we would start. It would be a nice way to start with Karen Newell in the US, who's very kindly come here to show us her sacred sound meditation. And I experienced this at the last conference we did, and it's absolutely amazing, and you'll love it. And what a great start to the day. It just gets into that relaxed, wonderful space, ready for the rest of the day. So, without further ado, I'm going to hand over to Evan Alexander, who gave us a wonderful presentation yesterday, and he's going to introduce his partner Karen to get us going for the sacred meditation.
Thank you very much. Great to be here. Good morning, everybody. Now for the exciting part. As I said yesterday, I have revisited the realms of my NDE using these sacred sounds, sacred acoustics that Karen Newell is going to demonstrate in just a few minutes. I loved yesterday how Stu Hammeroff brought up how in trying to come to an understanding of all this, yes, you can pursue the computations and the mathematics of the physics, but in many ways the music, which is of course identical with math, it's just a different form of presentation, is a more lovely way to approach these deeper truths. Now, in my NDE, sound was the engine that allowed me to ascend, to allow me to go from that ugly, coarse, earthworm eye view where my journey began, through the beautiful rotating melody of pure, clear white light that had a perfect musical melody, then the angelic choirs in the Gateway Valley that provided yet another transition and portal to higher and higher levels, all the way out to the oneness, to the pure, infinite ocean of pure love and oneness at the core of the source of the universe, where the sound was Om. That was the resonance of eternity and infinity that I witnessed in that realm. That's what I call that divine being, was that Om sound. So in coming back to this world, in revisiting and trying to understand the journey, music, sound, vibration, frequency, that is how we can do this. And in fact, humans have used sound for tens of thousands of years to access transcendental states of conscious awareness. And that is exactly what we pursue with this kind of thing. Now, it turns out that the sounds of sacred acoustics are specially engineered. I mentioned briefly yesterday the findings of a German physiologist back in the 1800s of slight differences in frequency of sound and how it can have a very profound effect on consciousness. It's really shocking how profound that effect can be, as I mentioned yesterday, in the pursuit of trying to duplicate the real miracle of my journey, which was as my neocortex was devastated by meningitis. I actually had a great opening of my awareness, proving to me very clearly that the brain is not the producer of consciousness. In fact, it limits it. We're conscious in spite of our brain. And so in fact, what these sounds will do, from my point of view, is they start to thin that veil of the neocortex, monotonize its information processing ability to allow conscious awareness to be set free. And I think if you listen to these tones, and I would point out that they're more powerful through headphones. When you can really isolate the channels to the two ears, it has more power than you get through speakers. But these have been specifically engineered to work through speakers. Now, many who know me will realize I've been through a tremendous transformation since my NDE. It's been a very progressive journey. And much of that started with me very much as a neurosurgeon in my head. Brain, mind, consciousness, trying to get to that, knowing fundamentally, having felt the infinite healing power of unconditional love at that core, but how to make sense of that. And it was really meeting Karen Newell in November of 2011 that set me on a pathway of a much richer understanding, which is one that I have come to develop in presentations with groups around the world. And it has to do with the fact that that is a love, heart consciousness. And that is very much part of what these tones will enable us to get in touch with. And it's that one mind, that one consciousness that is based in that infinite healing power of love that we're talking about addressing now. And I really credit Karen Newell with helping me to come to that kind of understanding. And it's been our journey together over the last few years that has helped me to come to a far richer connection with the realms that I first visited in my near-death experience. So I think, without further ado, what I would like to do is introduce you to the best of this particular couple, and that is Karen Newell.
Hello, everybody. I like doing this in the morning better than the afternoon, so our schedule switch was fine with me. So I just want to start with a little introduction, kind of how this came about, and then we'll actually have the experience together. And then at the end of having the experience, I want to hear, at least from a few of you, what it was like for you, because that really helps. There's 7 billion plus people on the planet, and everyone has a different experience, so it kind of helps to see what other people feel. But at any rate, when I first met Eben back in November 2011, this is before he even had an agent for his book, so I didn't know who he was, and we were at a spiritual type conference together, and I knew he had had a near-death experience, and we were getting to know each other, and I said, well, what was the most important thing you learned on your near-death experience? And I thought he would have some personal lesson about his life, and what he told me was, the brain doesn't create consciousness. And I looked at him and I said, why would anyone think that the brain creates consciousness? And I thought that was a little strange, because I was not a scientist. I wasn't in the science world at all, and it was something I wasn't really that interested in, but I was interested in how the world works. And when I was a young person, I was growing up in Oregon in the US, which is a beautiful nature type state, and my mother sent us to church camp every summer, this Methodist church camp, and so this was on the Oregon coast, the beach of Oregon, just the most beautiful, unspoiled beach you could imagine. And so the ministers, the young hippie ministers in the 70s would say, you know, go out in the woods and commune with God. And so I would think, all right, so I would go out in the woods and I'd be like, okay, God, you know, where are you? And there, you know, was no bright shining light or older man that came to make me feel comfort or anything. And I thought, well, what is this God thing? And so I didn't really understand. And so I would just commune with the ferns and the trees and the bugs and the driftwood, and but I remember saying to him, this concerned me a little bit. I thought I was maybe not doing it right, and so I remember saying to a minister, I don't think I believe in God. And he said, that's okay, it's not for everyone. And I thought, oh, thank goodness. I said, well, can I still come to church camp? And he said, well, of course you can. And so for me, that was really wonderful, because I was allowed to not believe the dogma, but still be in the environment with the people having a great time. And so it kind of allowed me to realize I didn't have to believe everything I was told. And this is just one example. When I was in school learning about our ancient history especially, and when they tell us that those great pyramids in Egypt were built by slaves over, you know, decades so pharaohs could have a tomb to be buried in, I thought, well, this is complete nonsense. This made absolutely no sense to me. And so I didn't believe that either. And what I realized was I could just be exposed to information or read a book, and I could know if it was true or not. And now I realize that was kind of an ability that maybe all kids have, but it gets beat out of us by teachers and authority figures. But somehow I was allowed to not believe my authorities, and I never got sucked into any kind of real strict belief system. And so as I got older, I learned about Atlantis, and I thought, now that's true, but in school they teach you that it's a myth, but it felt true to me, this inner knowing. And so this ancient history, wanting to know what really happened way back thousands and thousands of years ago, was my sort of personal passion. I wanted to know the truth. And so as I got older, I started reading all kinds of other things. I exposed myself to the Kabbalah, Vedic texts, Theosophy, just anything I could get my hands on, and I was really drawn to esoteric kind of knowledge. And I remember learning about mystery schools. And I thought, well, I want to go to a mystery school because that's where you get to learn about the secrets of the universe. But we didn't really have any mystery schools in that sense. So I kind of started my own search, and I would take class after class in all things metaphysical. And so things like remote viewing and lucid dreaming and astral travel and animal communication, plant communication, all of this. And I was looking for answers. And I would get validation now and then, and I have many stories that I don't have time to go into, that I realized, oh my gosh, we really are all telepathic. We really are all able to do these kinds of things. And not only me, but the other students I was with, that we were all remote viewing crazy cool things. And so as time went along, in all of these traditions, they kind of always would say, well, you have to meditate. You need to go within. And this was something that I couldn't do. I couldn't meditate. My brain was always just wah, 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 going on. Because in my other life, I was a project manager, desktop publisher, network manager. I was doing a director of technology in a publishing house. And so I was very much, making lists in my mind when I would try to meditate. Until I found sound. And certain kinds of sound would really help me get into a zone. Things like gongs or tuning forks or chimes. Melodies for me didn't really get me into any kind of zone, but those sort of monotonous sounds. And when I found this brainwave entrainment technology known loosely as binaural beats, that's what really started to help. And this is actually a technology that helps to, what they say, entrain your brain to the lower brain states. So the beta state is what we're walking around in, but the alpha, theta, and delta states are lower states of awareness. Delta is sleep, and then theta and alpha are more relaxed states. And so they can drive you into these states a little more easily than trying to do it on your own. And I could have committed 20 years to the ascetic life of a monk, but that seemed like it would take too long in the Western world, and the brain entrainment was a real shortcut. And along the way, I met this guy, Kevin Cawsey, who is now my business partner in Sacred Acoustics, and he's actually the engineer behind all of the sounds. But we started just for fun, creating our own tones, because I had pretty much purchased everything on the market, and I wanted more, different, new. And so this guy, Kevin, said, well, I'm going to make my own. And we kind of started doing that together in early 2011. And we would do this all the time. He would make these tones. He was in New York City, and I was in Baltimore at the time, about a 4-hour drive away. But we would get together on the phone and listen to the same sounds and then speak to each other after and tell each other what happened. And we started having all these kind of shared experiences together, and this is really fun if you can do this with a friend. And so later that year is when I met Eben, and we were all exploring this sound technology together. And it was actually when Eben went to New York to first meet with publishers that Kevin met him at his hotel room and hooked him up to our EEG device and let him listen to our sounds, and he was blown away. And he's like, wow, that's the best thing ever. So he began listening with us for about another year, up until Proof of Heaven came out, and the three of us would have these shared regular journeys from our different geographic locations. And by the time the book came out, he encouraged us to start a company so that we could make these tools available to others. Now, another thing that Eben said to me when we first met was that we would be traveling the world together and being on stage. And I said, no, you may be on stage, but I will not be on any stage talking to anyone. And you can see who was right. But he then invited me to start going around and teaching people how to do this. And so that's now what we do. Now, another thing that really helped me besides sound was getting in touch with the heart. And I did a lot of different heart sort of things. Heart Math Institute is in California, and they, for at least 20 years, quite a while, have been doing a lot of scientific research on the heart. And so a lot of this information comes from them, but Naitamo, is that how we say his name? Yesterday he showed us, I usually do too, show that torus field around the heart. And we all have one of these. And this torus field actually expands and contracts depending on your emotions. And it's an electromagnetic field. Another school of thought that I learned from taught me that emotions can be thought of as magnetic and thoughts can be thought of as electric. And so if you have that image of your thoughts and emotions together are what's affecting your electromagnetic field, for me, that gave me a lot of power of managing my own energy field. And so those images of that torus field going out around us, every time they invent a device to measure how large that field is, we reach the maximum limit of that measuring device. And so that really tells me this is an unlimited type of energetic field. And they're interacting with people around us all the time. Now, the heart actually sends more information to the brain than the brain sends to the heart. That's another heart math finding. And this tells me that the heart is constantly gathering information from around us, feeding it into our bodies through the heart, and then sending it up to the brain for its physiological reaction to whatever it's going to be. And the more we can kind of stay in that heart space and out of the thinking mind, I know we've been in our thinking minds a lot this weekend, and we will return to that very soon. But if we can really feel that information, rather than starting to immediately assign words and meaning to it, it can be kind of a different experience. And so we've been talking a lot about the continuity of consciousness, and we've been talking a lot about how it works. And now it's going to be our opportunity to feel the consciousness. And I encourage you to not put too many words to your experience, but kind of feel your experience. Yeah, I did that a lot faster than I thought. Okay, good. So the thing about the heart, a lot of times we hear this, we need to love ourselves, and that you can't love others until you love yourselves. We've all heard this, right? How many people think they actually truly love themselves here in the room? Okay, now when I ask people that, usually, and I say, well, how do you love yourself? You may all be just perfectly fine at this, but I remember people saying, well, actually Kevin, we'll pick on Kevin, my business partner. I said, Kevin, do you love yourself? And he said, well, of course I do. And I said, well, how do you love yourself? What does that mean? And he said, well, I think I'm really good at being an engineer, and I love animals, and I'm really kind to women. And I said, well, that really sounds like you admire yourself and that you're pleased with your traits. I said, but what about that feeling? Do you know how to generate that feeling of love inside of yourself? And he didn't really know what I meant. And when I first heard that too, I didn't know what that meant. And so for me, I had to really work at generating what that felt like. And when I did, I had this amazing heart energy that I could actually feel and expand and manage all on my own. And what I encourage people, and this thing about loving yourself, I thought, well, how do you send love towards yourself if you are yourself? And what I kind of learned was to be the love instead of loving myself as a separate being, to just become that love. And so I encourage you, because we're going to do an exercise that's combining the sound and some heart awareness. I encourage you to generate that feeling in your heart and become that love. And when we do this, if every person in the world would do this, this would change the world. So it's not just thinking yourself to love. I mean, I was married twice, and I loved these people with my brains. I did not love them with my heart, and it was a totally different feeling, and that I now recognize. And so I encourage you to be the love that you are. And so we're going to listen to this recording, and we're going to start with doing 3 ohms together. And Om is that sound that Evan heard, that deep resonance at the core of all existence. And that's a sound that Kevin and I found to be a very good precursor to getting our energy bodies sort of activated and then interacting with the frequencies in kind of magical ways. So, engaging, and gently bring your attention back to the breath and say to yourself, let go. Imagine your breath is moving in and out of your heart. As you you exhale, imagine your breath is filling up a bubble surrounding your entire body. As you inhale, imagine your breath is coming from all points of this bubble back into your heart. Continue breathing this way. the way into the center of the earth. center of the earth, back up your central column, and into the heart. Using your breath, feel your heart expand to encompass the room, this building, all of Magna, all of Italy, all of Europe, Return from your experience and remember. Okay, wiggle your fingers and toes, stretch your arms and legs. Give yourself a little hug. So how many found that relaxing? You want to take a nice nap? A little early for that. If we had done this yesterday, some of you would have had nice naps. We're trying to get you to that hypnagogic state, that state between awake and asleep that you have when you kind of remembering your dreams when you first wake up or when you're first falling asleep. So that might be some of what you're feeling. Love to hear just from at least one or two of you before we take our break and start moving around. What was that like for you? Yes.
I've done quite a few because I've been exploring deep, and I've done a few of them, and that was a really nice one. That was really good. Some of them take me into higher thinking. Some of them take you into being able to navigate the space that you're talking about, and that one allowed me to navigate the space. So thank you.
You're welcome. Well, as you know, our practice of navigating the ethereal world was our driving force behind all of this. So yeah, ours are really designed for exploring those realms, exactly. So how many felt like they, did you have something? Yeah.
Yeah, it's so amazing that when the sound sets in, that instantly everything changed in my mind. That at the beginning I was trying to refuse the feeling that it was so powerful. And I mean, not only am I not that good at meditation, because as you, my mind is wandering around a lot. And this was really, and when the music started, it suddenly changed everything. It was, thank you so much.
You're welcome. Good. Anyone else has that experience? From here?
For me, it is as I'm used to meditate a lot, I didn't feel so much difference in the brain, but at the moment, it connected to the deep in the middle of the earth. I realized there is so much healing energy in also for the cells of the body. It was wonderful. I really could feel also. Thank you very much for this wonderful work.
Right, thank you. Anyone else have a comment? Okay.
The
Yes.
interior of the Earth is first and second density. We're in the third density here. So when you go down to the Earth, you're actually going to bring some of that lower density with you. A little bit more heavier actually than I did, but it's a nice grounding feeling. Sometimes I'm floating around.
Well, you know, the deeper you go, the higher you fly. Yeah. That's why we go into the earth. And then, whew, yeah, so there you go. That's the living of it. So, anyone else? And can you speak loud?
My voice not so strong.
Well, I can bring this to it.
I want to use a little bit the weight of ratio, because in the beginning you said you're not so people of religion. I think you are people of religion, because dogmatic religion is not a religion, but those things. This is an entrance to the world which should be religion. So I think levels like this are very important for the future of this development.
Yeah.
So
I think semantically religion innately just feels dogmatic. And so spiritual feels less dogmatic to me. And in any traditions I was learning, all those things I read along, the less dogma, the more attracted I was to it. So the less rules, the more I could just find what works for me, the better. And so everyone listens to these differently. Everyone has a different reaction. Some people have an immediate reaction, like over here. Others take longer, and they're like, what? Why didn't I feel that? And I was like that. It took me longer. It took me a while to really feel the power of it. And normally we do this laying down. I didn't offer that option because this floor didn't seem so clean. But normally we do this laying down to allow for just complete relaxation of the body, because we're trying to get the body to go to sleep and have the mind stay aware. And so these tones all have a lot of delta in them. I'm quite the little delta junkie myself. And the more delta, the more I could. Some delta puts people to sleep immediately. So there's no one size fits all. People like to think, oh, there should be one tone that works the same for everyone. There's not. And we're all different. We've done our brain studies. Eben, Kevin, and I all have completely different brains from each other. But we try to find the magic formula in there. And one thing we do different, you said you listen to a lot of binaural beats. One thing we do different from other binaural beats people, because we've analyzed pretty much everyone else's work, is we combine all of our frequencies using harmonic principles. And so you may realize that a lot of binaural beats include white noise, pink noise, or rain or something behind it to kind of mask the difficulty of the frequencies to listen to. And ours are all combined. We don't have to add any of those things. Those are just all straight frequencies, and they sound more musical. Here?
I just want to ask you something.
Sure.
It reminds me a lot of the Tibetan chants I heard in Tibet by the monks. So I wanted to know how much you're used to that, or how inspired are you by that?
Yeah, chanting is another method of getting into altered states of awareness, and we don't specifically, use Tibetan chants, but we do have one product that called Lotus. I don't know if I brought that one with me, but we actually have a monk chanting in Bhutan. I forget that Satsang monastery, the Guru cave, I think it's called. A monk chanting in there is in our actual recording, along with some binaural beats. So yeah, very powerful, yeah. Okay, last question.
Yeah, Karen, what was the name of this one?
Heart Center.
This one was Heart Center.
Heart Center, and Urban, yes.
For me, it was unusual experience, because I'm told that I live too much in my crown chakra and not grounded.
Mm-hmm.
As you said, move down, and all of a sudden I felt activated, always being projected below my feet to the ground. And I still feel that. I still feel my whole lower part somewhat way below the ground. Very much whole, very much one. So that's something I think I needed to do very much. And I'm glad that I could do it like this, and I'll continue doing this.
Good, yeah.
Thank you.
I mean, we're part of the earth. We resonate with the earth. The earth has one of those torus fields too. So I love that picture from the Tamo, the ones who saw it, of all the people with their little heart fields surrounded by a big heart field. And that's just what we just did. So yeah, and connecting with the earth too. Okay, so I think we're going to move to our half-an-hour break now. Joe, did you have some comments?
Yes, thank you so much. That was very